I thought about leaving so many times in my 40s, in my 50s, in my 60s. But I never did because every time I got close, I thought, what if he changes? What if I leave, and then he realizes what he lost and becomes the man I always needed? What if I just need to wait a little longer? So I waited and waited and waited. I'm 79 years old now. My husband died 2 years ago, and 45 years of waiting changed nothing. Don't waste your life like I did. I married Michael in 1967.
I was 24 years old. He was 26, handsome, charming, confident. Everyone said I was lucky, and maybe for the first year I was. But then something happened. Not a big event, not a fight, not a betrayal, just a shift. He stopped asking how my day was, stopped listening when I talked, stopped looking at me the way he did when we were dating. I told myself it was normal. Marriage isn't romance. Marriage is real life. This is just what happens when the honeymoon ends. But deep down, I knew something was wrong, because I felt invisible. The first time I really noticed it was in 1970. We'd been married 3 years. I came home from the grocery store excited to tell him something. I don't even remember what it was now. Something small. Something that mattered to me. I started talking, and he didn't look up. He was reading the newspaper. I kept talking. Still nothing. Finally, I stopped mid-sentence, and he didn't notice. I stood there in the kitchen holding grocery bags halfway through my story, and he had no idea I'd stopped speaking. That was the moment I realized I could disappear, and he wouldn't notice. But I told myself it was temporary. He's stressed. He's tired. He's distracted. Things will get better soon. That became my mantra for the next 45 years. Things will get better soon, when we have kids, when the kids are older, when he retires, when we have more time together. But things never got better. We had 2 children, a son, David, a daughter, Emily. I thought fatherhood would soften him, make him more present, more connected. But he treated parenting the way he treated everything else, as something happening around him, not to him. He went to work. He came home. He sat in his chair. He read his paper. He went to bed. The kids and I were background noise. I remember one night. Our son David was maybe 7 years old. He came running into the living room so excited. Dad, look what I made at school." He was holding a drawing, a family portrait. Michael glanced up for half a second. "That's nice, buddy," and went back to his newspaper. David's face fell. He looked at me. I smiled and said, "Let me see it, sweetheart." But I saw it in his eyes. He didn't want me to see it. He wanted his father, and his father didn't care. I told myself, when the kids are older, we'll reconnect. When it's just the 2 of us again, he'll finally see me. The kids grew up. They left home. It was 1995. Just Michael and me. Empty nest. I thought, this is it. This is when things change. I planned a trip for us. A weekend away, just the 2 of us. Something we hadn't done in years. I was excited, nervous even. Maybe this would be the moment. We drove 3 hours to a little bed and breakfast in the mountains. Beautiful place. Quiet. Romantic. We checked in, unpacked, and then Michael turned on the TV. He sat there watching sports the entire weekend. We barely spoke. I tried to start conversations. "Isn't this place lovely? Should we go for a walk?" Maybe later. Later never came. On the drive home, I cried silently in the passenger seat. He didn't notice. I kept waiting. When he retires, I told myself, when he doesn't have work stress, when he has time. He retired in 2005. He was 64. I was 62. Finally, I thought. Finally, we'll have time together. But retirement didn't change him. He just replaced work with golf and TV and projects in the garage that never got finished. I was still invisible. I'd make dinner. He'd eat in front of the TV. I'd try to talk about my day. He'd nod without listening. I'd suggest we do something together. I'm tired, he'd say, always tired. Too tired to talk, too tired to listen, too tired to see me, but never too tired for golf with his friends. Michael died in 2023. He was 82. I was 77. Heart attack. Quick. No warning. People said I was lucky. At least he didn't suffer. At least you had all those years together. At least you got to say goodbye. But I didn't say goodbye because I was never really there to begin with. Not in the way that mattered. I was a wife, a mother, a housekeeper, a cook. But I was never a person he saw. At his funeral, people came up to me. They hugged me. They cried with me. They told me stories about Michael. How funny he was, how kind, how generous. And I stood there thinking, who are they talking about? That wasn't the man I knew. The man I knew forgot my birthday 6 years in a row. The man I knew never asked if I was happy. The man I knew lived in the same house as me for 56 years and never really knew me. And standing at his grave, I felt it. Relief. Not because he was gone, but because I finally stopped waiting. I'm 79 now, and here's what I know. People don't change because you wait for them to. They change because they want to. And if they don't want to, no amount of waiting will make a difference. I waited for him to ask how I was, to notice when I was sad, to care about what I cared about, to see me, but it never happened. Not because he couldn't, but because he didn't want to. That's the hardest truth. He wasn't incapable. He just didn't think I was worth it. If you're in a marriage right now, waiting for your partner to change, listen to me. Stop. Stop waiting. Because here's what waiting costs. It costs your time. It costs your happiness. It costs your sense of self. It costs you the life you could be living. I might have 5 years left, maybe 10 if I'm lucky, and those years are mine. Finally mine. But I lost 45. Don't do that. Don't waste your life waiting for someone to see your worth. If they don't see it now, they won't see it later. You know what's strange? Since Michael died, I've been happier than I was in 45 years of marriage. Not because I'm glad he's gone, but because I'm finally free. Free from waiting, free from hoping, free from pretending that one day things would be different. I have coffee in the morning the way I like it. I watch the shows I want to watch. I talk to my children without him interrupting or ignoring. I read books. I go to the library. I take walks. Small things. But they're mine, and no one makes me feel invisible for doing them. If you're waiting right now for your partner to listen, to care, to see you, ask yourself, how long are you willing to wait? Because time doesn't stop, and neither does your life. You can spend it waiting for someone to change, or you can spend it living for yourself. I made the wrong choice for 45 years. Don't make the same mistake. Your life is happening right now. Don't wait for permission to live it. If this story resonated with you, write one word in the comments. How many years you've been waiting or are waiting right now. Sometimes just naming the number is the first step to stop waiting.